Welcome. My name is Nancy Mueller, and I'm here with another episode of Life is All About Choices. This is an interview platform where I talk to people who at one point in their life had the universe say, or people say, you can't do that. And they turn around and said, watch me. Today, I have Beth Dana with me, and I'm really excited to share her with you because we're going to be talking about her book, Make Money Your Partner. But before we go any farther, Beth, welcome. Welcome to Life is All About Choices.
Oh, thank you, Nancy. Thanks for having me on
Well, I'm
here.
really excited to have you here. And I'm going to hold the book up and read the back at the same time. So how's that for promotion?
Yeah.
So the back of this book says, this holistic approach to financial freedom will allow you to begin letting go of limiting beliefs that you hold about yourself and money, which no longer serve you. And as a result, you will start to experience the alignment of your mind, body, and spirit as you create breakthroughs in your relationship with money. That's fabulous. And I had to get this book because you and I met, I don't know, a year or so ago, and we've been talking way before your book came out. And recently, you and I have been talking a lot about abundance. And we've had conversations where a lot of people, when they hear the word abundance, they think money. But abundance is so much more than that. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on this show, because I wanted people to hear another concept, idea, thought process, belief about money and abundance and the difference between that. So how's that sound? We're gonna have a rock and roll time today.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's
Okay.
dive right in. I'm
All right.
ready.
So first of all, Beth, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're so fabulous.
So my name is Beth, and I'm here in Orange County, California. And I'm a financial planner, educator, coach, and now author. And my background's actually in real estate. I got into the financial industry because I saw it as an added value tool to my real estate business. But then over time, my heart fell out of love of real estate and fell in love with educating people on finances, because I noticed there was such a need in our world with financial literacy and setting people up for the future. And there was just a lack in our country. And just in my own journey and my own experience with, I was brought up in a single mother household. We were poor. I didn't realize that we were brought up poor, but we were. Grew up in government housing, and my mom did a wonderful job of providing for us. She had worked sometimes 2-3 jobs just to provide for us kids. And so I had limiting beliefs around money. Money wasn't talked about in my household. My mom was always worrying about money. Um, you know, it's just something that ended up being something that I needed to break through in my adulthood. Fast forward, I got married, and during our marriage, we had a house, we had cars, and we did all these really great things. We invested in 401k. But when it was time for me to choose about going through divorce, I realized, oh my goodness, I didn't set myself up in such a way to feel empowered. Everything was together. And so it was during my choosing of divorce that I really then started recognizing that this is something that I need some guidance on. I never sat down with a financial planner at the time. I was still in real estate. And I ended up going to somebody, and I sat down with a firm and thinking that they could support me and guide me along the way, doing this new reinvention of my life. And I just didn't make enough money for them to even want to continue speaking with me. They said, sorry, we can't help you. And I thought, wow, where do I go? I felt like, okay, if I'm in this position, there must be more people in the same position too. So fast forward, I'm still in real estate. I end up getting into the financial industry, and just stuff starts unfolding. I'm recognizing my relationship with money, how it's strengthening. But over the course of, going through my divorce, I just realized just the heaviness of like having credit card debt and feeling the shackles um, of finances, of money. And money isn't made for that. Money is made as a tool. Money is for us to create things in life. It's not something that is supposed to have us or have power over us. And so that's where I started realizing, okay, I get to shift this. So again, being in the financial industry, I noticed it being a very masculine driven industry, very masculine energy. So that's where I started feeling, okay, there's this feminine approach, this holistic approach that's missing. And that's where the book came about. So the book's a combination of not only being in the industry and recognizing what's being needed, but just going through my own journey of financial healing and growth. And so the book speaks on some of the practices that I put into place for myself, such as meditation and journaling, that really supported me in my internal healing and dialogue with money.
And that's one of the things that you and I very first talked about. I remember our very first conversation. It was about empowering women about money through divorce, because there are so many women who stay in a relationship, men and women, I'm sure, but because we're women, we talk, we tend to refer as women, because they don't see how they can end the relationship or get out of the relationship and be financially independent. And Beth, I love your approach, how it's holistic, because it's not just about, do you believe you have enough money? It's about, do you believe you can make enough money? Do you believe that the universe is the source of your supply? And that means abundance is infinite. Your supply is infinite. And if you haven't yet grasped that concept, then you're going to be looking to another person, place, or condition as your money supply. And that's where we tend to get into that rabbit hole of lack. And it just keeps like that hamster wheel. Wouldn't you say, Beth?
Right. Absolutely. The hamster wheel, because we're chasing something outside of us. Right. Versus having that. And it also comes with just having that inner peace and happiness within us, that we end up knowing that we can be fulfilled with the things that are in our external world. And, it is obviously very, very important to, plan and set aside and plan for the future. But it's that, again, it's that internal dialogue that is really going to create that peace and that overall all abundance in our lives.
So one of the questions that I want to ask you, so that everyone can hear your answer, is, you said you went to a financial planner and you didn't even make enough money for them to be bothered with you or look at you. Now, someone with very high self-esteem will walk away from that and say, all right, either there's a plan B or there's got to be another way. But someone who may be in a situation where you're not feeling really high in the self-esteem department, or you really don't know what the next step is, what would you suggest to them?
Well, well, one, reach out to me. I can tell you that. But
good job. That was a good cue. That was a cue.
But that's part of the problem, Nancy, is because our financial industry only caters to the 1% of the wealthy. So where do everybody else go? They search on the internet, or they ask their friend or somebody who's probably in a very similar position than they are. And so they don't know where to go. And that's the unfortunate thing. And so if you can find a financial planner like myself who caters to somebody who wants to save $100 all the way up to hundreds of millions of dollars, right? The spectrum is large. So, but you're not going to, unfortunately, find that in most companies. And so I think that's just the beauty of the company that I work with.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, there are many companies who are where you'd have to have a specific bottom line, so to speak, before they'll talk to you. But there are other avenues that people can take if they have $5 to invest.
Right. Yeah. So most of our financial industry is catered to the wealthy, the affluent, the folks that have large assets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're based on quotas. So that's generally the financial industry. The great thing that I love about what's occurring in our world in this conversation is I'm seeing more and more financial coaches coming to the surface. Now, they're not financial planners. They don't work with a financial firm. However, they are setting themselves up in a way to support people in their budgeting and saving and these strategies that are creating healthy habits. And that's really what we're needing, is to start creating healthy habits. So if you can find even just a financial coach to support you, either through Instagram or Facebook or through word of mouth or referrals, start there, because in most cases they could probably put you in touch with somebody that could best support you with than investing and saving that money. But again, it comes down to mindset and the healthy habits that get to be recreated, and that can come from a financial coach.
Well, and there are a lot of programs out there, and there are a lot of coaches out there who saying, come with me, I'll make you 5K in a day or 50K in a day or whatever. So for someone who is watching those videos or watching those advertisements or those sponsorships, and they're wondering like, oh, I'm going to invest in this person or take their program or buy their widget, whatever. There is a gap. We know that. And so this is where so many people say, I tried and I failed. I tried and I failed, and I tried and I failed. And this is what I love about your book, because what you're doing is you're taking them from that place of try. And remember, there is no try, young Skywalker. There is only do or do not. Mm-hmm. So that place of commitment, that place of, okay, something's got to change. I'm tired of today being like yesterday and tomorrow not looking any better. So going from there to where you're being promised by all of these programs and everything. And that's one of the things that I love about your book, because what you're doing is you're sharing with people that it's a mindset. So in other words, you can't say, okay, I'm making $50 a week right now, and I'm going to tell myself that I can make $500 a week just by saying some affirmations or, I don't know, sitting and meditating.
Right.
So what would you say to that?
Well, yes, we have to be in action, right? We can absolutely, our thoughts are powerful. Having the right mindset and being in the feeling and emotion is really powerful too, because we can think certain things, but if we have that doubt or we have that limiting belief that's still hovering, if we're not coming from a place of joy, then it's not in alignment, right? But it always needs to be followed up with action, because it's not just sitting there and hoping that it's going to walk through the door, right?
Right.
So that is important. And as far as, you speaking on the different programs that are out there, you know what? We've all experienced, there's not just an overnight quick fix for anything. You've got to do the work. And that's what's the beautiful thing about the workbook, is that it's giving you an opportunity to really dive in and go somewhere you probably don't want to go, and have those conversations that you probably don't want to have because they feel uncomfortable. And that's okay, because on the other side of uncomfortability is the promised land, and it's really nice over on that side. So sometimes you got to go through some uncomfortableness to get there. So the book is designed to really kind of, stir things up a little bit and dive deep into what you really truly want for yourself in your future.
And everybody's definition of success is not the same. Right. I mean, one person might say, oh, $5,000 a month would be good enough for me. That's what I need to live on. Where another person might say $50,000 a month is what I need to live on. So if you're comparing yourself to someone else, then again, You're looking to another person, place, or condition for the source of your supply, rather than that internal work, understanding. Gosh, guys, it's all about the inner work. It's all about understanding when you've tried to make things happen from the outside. And when you're finally over that and you finally get to a point where you say, all right, well, maybe Nancy knows what she's talking about. Maybe it is about the inner work. Now, who can you work with, talk to, approach about doing the inner work? Where do you get started? So, Beth, talk a little bit about if someone were to come to you and say, I don't know, let's use a situation where they want to get divorced, but they're not in control of their finances. The spouse is in control of their finances. And they're feeling, and this isn't to get financial advice. That's not where I want to go. I want to go with mindset. What would the mindset around that be?
Well, I think it's important to, divorce is, it can be done very amicably. It could be done otherwise, right? So I think it's just a matter of seeing where both people are at and where they're wanting to go, and just really being compassionate for where they're at. I think is so important, because it's divorce. It's not you're going through a lot of different obstacles when you're going through divorce. I think coming definitely from a place of compassion is important, because money can be very, analytical and non-emotional, and unfortunately there's emotion wrapped around all that. So first, I think that's important, to be coming from a place of compassion and understanding of where both parties are at, so that you can go through it a little bit more easily and smoothly, and with more understanding of where each other want to move forward on.
And not only compassion for the other person, but compassion for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, we forget about that. We're always thinking about taking care of the other person, or what does the other person need, or what do my children need? But it starts with you inside, because when you're the best you that you can be, then you're able to help everyone around you. But when you're depleting all of your resources, inner resources, mind, body, and soul, how can you even think that you would be aware enough to know what's best for you?
Yeah, and I'm glad you say that. I'll just speak from my personal experience on divorce. When I was going through divorce, it was my choice, and I had a lot of guilt around it. He was my best friend for a very, very long time, but we just went on different paths, and because I felt guilty, I made financial choices that I shouldn't probably have made, because I just felt guilty. And I think if I would have had some guidance along the way in supporting me on deciphering what's good best for me, along with also the feelings that I was experiencing, I would have made different choices during my divorce. Absolutely, that would have been very empowering for me, not so much just out of guilt,
Right.
for him. Yeah.
So what about when we're talking about children? Because I just think that, gosh, we can all say, oh my gosh, if I had known now or known when my children were small, what I know now, I'd have done things a little bit differently with parenting. And I can tell you that I certainly would have. But what would you say to someone who is trying to introduce a more holistic money mindset to their children? What do you think about using your book for that?
Yeah, no, I think it's really great. The book could be for all ages, and heck, have it be a family, like great family night out of it. That would be fantastic. I think that would be really great. Um, the money conversation with the kids starting at the young age is so important. And it's very, Steve Siebold has a book on, here, I'll grab it. I'll do a little plug for Steve Siebold.
There you go.
The self-made millionaires teach their kids. And in one of the things in the book is that the millionaires don't say the word no. They say the word stop, because you generally associate the word no with rejection. So when as they're growing up and they become successful, it's generally because they're not feeling that that sense of rejection by the word no, versus another household that might associate the word no, and then you attach it to the feeling of rejection. So things like that, I think just the languaging is very important on what we say, but then also instilling, like a budget formula, the importance of, hey, let's donate or let's tithe. And so a child is recognizing the importance of why we're donating or giving first, right? Because as we're giving, we're receiving, and we're creating that flow of abundance. And then also, if they're choosing to pay the child for chores or things like this around the house, allocating some of that money so they're paying themselves first. Because what's very big in our American society is that we aren't paying ourselves first. So what is that telling us? It's telling us that we're not important, we don't have value on ourselves, that everybody else is more important. So if we can instill in the children that they can at least start saving, even if it's just 10% of whatever it is, even if maybe they get a check from grandma, right, from their birthday. I don't know, do people even do that anymore? I feel like my time, but
yeah, I think now it's a gift card from Target or something. You're dating yourself, Beth.
I'm dating myself.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but if you're getting some money from, for your birthday, whatever, like take the time and like teach the child, let's pay you first, put that in a little savings account so they can start seeing the value of that growing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, I'm always, when I'm talking to clients and they're asked, I'm trying to explain to them like where your beliefs come from. It's so important to understand that our beliefs, all of our beliefs, come from childhood. Now, that's not to blame the parents. I say that over and over and over, and I'm going to say it again for this, do not blame your parents. If you are still blaming your parents for where you are in your adult life, you've got some inner work that needs to be done. I'm just going to say that right here and now. But here's the thing. Our beliefs start in childhood from the age of birth to about, 8, 12, 13 years of age. So think about that. Everything you learn, everything you believe to be truth, fact, what you know to be true, is created during those years. So now, what about if you one day decided that you were going to draw on the wall? You're 5 years old and you're going to draw on the wall. Now, the parents punish you because they want you to know not to write on the wall. But what if you really didn't understand the punishment and you thought drawing was bad? Do you see? Because children intuit things. They don't always take the lesson away that adults think they're taking away. And maybe sometimes it's because adults don't know how or have the right tools or vocabulary to teach it. So now you take these beliefs that you've incurred in childhood and you bring them with you into adulthood. And so this is why we have so many adults walking around making choices based on beliefs they incurred in childhood that don't even serve them. Mm-hmm. So depending on what your money mindset was in the as a family unit, if you were raised in a household where there wasn't a lot of extra money, and you maybe see kids at school having something and you go to the store with your mom and you're like, can I, and all you hear is no, 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 no. And let's face it, moms, oh my gosh, parents, moms and dads, they just get so overwhelmed sometimes, and sometimes they're not going to stop and think about, no, stop, because when you're in the moment and you have one or more children bugging on your last good nerve, maybe the last thing that you want to do is be in a calm, loving mindset. And so you might say something to lash out, and that'll be like the one thing that they grab a hold of and take with them into adulthood. Parents, give yourselves a break. We're all human. We all do it. This is the best way to be kind to yourself, is not to judge yourself, to practice the art of non-judgment. But to my point, when you start to understand where your beliefs come from, and now you're in your adult life and you think, oh my gosh, I don't make enough money, or there's never enough money to go around, or I have to get a better job, a bigger job, making more money, more prestige. And finally you get to the point where you're working your booty off and you have very little to show for it. Well, it's because you never were taught to go back and look at your beliefs around how you've created your life and how you've set your life up. And that includes your money mindset. What do you think about that, Beth?
Yeah, I mean, that's like the first section of the book is identifying your limiting beliefs around money and where it's rooted from, because it very much is the paradigm that has created the habits that we have in our adulthood. So when we can identify what that limiting belief is and heal that wound, there's a lot of stuff that can open up for that. There's a lot of internal healing, and that, and that peace, that inner peace that could be really formulated, and then in that, just the external stuff is going to naturally just take its weaving, into the new life that you've created. But yeah, it absolutely comes down to the 0 to 8 years old and the beliefs that we have around money. In my upbringing, right, I watched my mom work really hard. She worked really hard. And so I thought, okay, you have to work really hard to get money. So I started working really young. I just found ways to create money. And so that was my belief, is that you had to work really hard. And then my other belief was that I didn't deserve it. And so when I broke through those two conversations that I made up, those stories that I made up, it transformed. It really transformed the relationship that I have with money today.
And I know for myself, there was never enough money. I wouldn't even say there was never enough money. There was just never money. And so groceries were few and far between. People at the church used to bring us clothing, food, bags of food. And, so you get this mindset of others have and you don't have, or that everything you want has to be supplied by another person. And it's a belief that you just, it's like layering, like onions, not even onions. I'm going to say like baklava, how it's really, really thin pastry. And, you just don't realize how many sheets of that really thin phyllo dough are there. And that's the way that it is. It just builds up and builds up. And then you're in your adult life and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to wait for this person to say yes, or this person to say no, or this person to say okay, or this person to discard, or and you don't even realize that you're doing it. So understanding where your beliefs come from, it's golden. It's the ticket. It's the ticket to everything. And I love that you started the book with that, because that's so important.
Yeah, and I also want to make sure that I also say this. It's like my biggest test in my finances is in having faith. That's been my biggest test. Trusting and having faith that I'm taken care of from the universe, from God. And when I step into that, and I'm not going to say that it doesn't creep in every once in a while, but I catch it, and then I'm able to shift and be like, okay, I get to just have faith and trust and taken care of. We're in an abundant world, and it's all going to work out and unfold the way it's supposed to unfold. So yeah, my biggest test in my finances has been in my faith.
And that's not to be confused with sitting back and saying, phew, okay, the universe is going to take care of this. It's understanding that you have to do the work. Years and years and years ago, I remember Jack Canfield used to say, first you have the inspiration, and then you have to have the motivation, then you have to do the perspiration, meaning you have to do the work. You have to, I don't know, make the phone calls, get online, asking people, take the class, take the course, educate yourself, find out who the people are that are going to get you to that next step. One of my favorite authors, John Strzelecki, he says there are so many people running around saying, how do I do this? I don't know how. I can't figure it out. How am I ever going to make this happen? And he calls that mad how disease. I love that. Yeah. And he said, instead of trying to figure out how, find your who's. And not to sound like a Dr. Seuss book or something, but who are the people that are going to get you to the next level? Who is the
Absolutely.
person that's going to introduce you to, like you're watching this interview. Maybe you didn't know Beth before that, but you knew me. And now through me, you know Beth. So now you have a who and a who. We're two who's together. How's that? So you see how this happens? This is how the universe unfolds. But if you sit in the dark and play video games all the time and you do not open up your parameters and open up the opportunities that the universe is sending to you, you're not going to be able to attract into you what it is that you're really looking for. And that's where the universe comes into play about taking care of us, and everything that we need is supplied for us. I mean, think about it. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience on this planet. So the Creator brought us to this world, into this world, with everything that we need. Everything. And when we are born, when we incarnate into this life, we know what that is. We come here knowing. And then when we're creating all those beliefs, that's where we're like, creating those brick walls where we forget our greatness. We forget our amazingness. I was going to make up a word there, our fantasticness. And when you can just step back and really start saying, holy cow, you mean I am like really amazing? Yes, you are. Now, here's the thing. You're not more amazing than anyone else. No one is above another person. No one is below another person. So when you realize that everyone is on a level playing field, now, if you have that mindset like I did, where you think you have to wait for someone else to say yes, or wait for someone else to give you permission, that's not being on a level playing field. But the thing is, when you have that belief, you're the one that's telling yourself you're down here. So what is it going to take for you to come up to the level playing field? And this is what we're talking about when it comes to your money mindset.
And there is such power in associations, because when you're hanging around the right associations and the right people, doors can open up for you, possibilities and opportunities can open up for you. You definitely don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to have people who are smarter than you, right? Hanging around so you can learn and continue to grow and expand upon your knowledge. And you never know where it's going to lead, like you and I, Nancy, right? I found you on LinkedIn, and here we are, nearly a year later. And so take the actions, take the courage to step into what feels good. We connect with a lot of people throughout our lives and our day, but not everybody is supposed to lead to something else. And so I think it's important to really, be in action, but just really lean into even how it's feeling, make sure that it feels good. Listen to your intuition, and it can guide you in some really great places.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that about social media, because, we're so busy trying to amass friends or connections, or, ooh, look how many I have. But the thing is, how often are you actually connecting with those people that you're friending or connecting with? Because those are the people that the universe is bringing into your life for a reason. So if you're just trying to make a bigger number, so it looks good on the screen, then you're not really taking in the gift that the universe is giving you by bringing these people into your life. And that's one of the reasons I love doing this video, Life is All About Choices, these video interviews, because I started out in radio and then podcasting. And when I started coming into contact with all these people all around the world, I'm like, whoa, it just was mind blowing how my mind was opened up. And like there are people doing things that are so freaking awesome. And I'm talking to this person and I'm helping them share this message, and start to think about people like that. When you are connecting with people, ask yourself, like, what am I going to learn from this person? Is this person going to teach me something? And, again, it's not to say that there's one higher or lower, but I believe that we can learn from everyone.
And there's such abundance in all of that.
Exactly. And that's another part of what you're talking about, Beth, because, the abundance, we started talking about this at the beginning. Abundance doesn't mean just money. It's not another word for money. It's more like associated with money. But abundance is a feeling. Abundance is intangible. I can have an abundance of love, an abundance of health, good health, an abundance of friends, an abundance of happiness, joy. Those are the abundances that we want to attract into our world. And when you are in a state of lack or anger or sadness or depression or despair, I like to say, that's pulling you toward the darkness. You're going to the dark side. And once you get sucked into the darkness, it can be challenging to climb your way out of that, because those feelings and emotions stay with you. And that's what begins to be kind of like your new normal. So then trying to do anything positive actually feels wrong. And it's how we create our beliefs. Our beliefs are created from our thoughts, and our thoughts are attached to our feelings and our emotions. Feelings are in the mind, emotions are in the body. So you want to not only pay attention to what your words, the thoughts that you're thinking, but the feelings and emotions that are attached to it. And so if you're, thinking about money and you're feeling like whatever you're feeling, I'm not even going to put words there. Stop and ask yourself, what am I feeling about money? And there's this really cool exercise called energy transference. And if you take money, any denomination, any bill, whatever it is, and you hold it in front of you and you think of it as the sum of all the money that you'll ever have, ever was, ever will be, and you really concentrate on it and you think about, okay, what does this represent to me? And sit there quietly and pay attention to your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. What's coming up for you? That is a clear indication of your money mindset. And you may find that you don't trust it. You don't trust it to be there for you. You think you have to wait for someone to give it to you. Whatever it is, if you can do that exercise, it's so telling. And then be kind to yourself. Whatever you discover, don't chastise yourself for it. Don't beat yourself up for it. Don't judge yourself for it. Just say, wow, I am so glad I finally know this now. Now go look for your who.
Yeah, and so that brings up a good point of some of the things that are in the book. Is there's actually a ledger where you can write your income, expenses, and your assets and where you're currently at, and then write about your feelings on that. How did that make you feel when you wrote that? Or are you upset? Are you good with where you're at? And not from a judgment spot, but just to recognize the feelings that come up for you during that process, so that you can, move forward past those feelings and emotions and step into something new. So I'm glad you did mention that, because that's an exercise that's in there as well.
So Beth, tell me, I know that you do a lot of workshops in the Orange County area and Los Angeles area, but are you doing any workshops online? If someone wanted to work with you online, would that be possible?
Yeah, actually, we do have workshops that are designed around the book. It's about the first 12 pages of the book. So we go through journaling and gratitude, and we'll do even a meditation during the process of the book. And we do those online as well. We do have some upcoming dates. So if people want further information on that, they can visit my website at thegildedway.com.
Can you spell that? Can you just spell that for Gilded?
Yes, Gilded is Gilded.
The Gilded Way. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, but go ahead. And yes. How else can they follow you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram. You can find me at either The Gilded Way, or you can find me through Beth Dana.
And ask questions. I mean, it's so wonderful. Find out where she's hanging out. What groups is she hanging out in? And pay attention to the posts that she does. Because if Beth is one of your who's, don't you think it's important that you pay attention to what she's sharing? I do. I certainly do. Beth, thank you so much. I mean, I really appreciate your purpose and your passion The fact that you, through your own journey of divorce and realizing that, hey, there's something missing here and I can fill that need. You went on to do what you're doing, and then you wrote the book, and now you're doing some really awesome things online and in person. Is there anything else that you want to share before we say goodbye?
Well, I thank you to you, Nancy. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to, share this with the world. I'm just so excited for what this book, like I give acknowledgments in the front part of the book, and this book is a series of thank yous to a lot of people who have helped me in my journey along the way. And so, but this book is coming with a purpose. This book is something that I feel gets to create a movement and a big healing in people's lives. So I'm really excited for where it gets to go. And so I want to thank you for allowing me to be on this platform and be able to share it with your audience, and who knows where this interview else is going to land, right? You have
Right.
no idea
Never
where
know.
that's going to happen. And then, as you know, Nancy, I'm in the works of developing a podcast around the book. So that's stepping into that newness is good. There's all these good feelings around that, right? But I'm leaning into it, and I'm excited about that. So that'll
Fantastic.
be exciting. So that I can have you on the podcast.
There you go. And you heard it here first, right? She's putting it out to the universe. She's creating a podcast around Make Money Your Friend. Your partner, Make Money Your Partner. And oh my gosh, that's something you want to stay tuned to. And so you want to be sending a lot of really fabulous energy, high vibrational energy, that she gets this podcast up and going very soon, because there are a lot of people who are waiting to hear your message, Beth. And it's just another platform for you to be able to share this awesome information.
Thanks, Nancy. I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you too. And thank you so much for coming here and sharing with everyone, and for writing the book. I appreciate you so much. And for all of you, I appreciate you being here. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the channel. This is our way to get this information out and just let the world know, hey, if you're looking for your who's, maybe it's on Life is All About Choices YouTube channel. In the meantime, this is Nancy Mueller and Beth Dana saying ciao for now.